Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy. So this happened a few weeks ago, and I'm still processing everything. I'm 33M, married to Claire, 31, F for 11 years. We have two kids, Jeremy 7 and Melissa 6. I work from home, and she travels monthly for her marketing job. I thought we had the perfect marriage until one phone call changed everything. It was a typical Thursday morning, getting the kids ready for school at 7:30 a.m. The phone rings with an unfamiliar caller ID. It's Claire calling from her business trip, completely panicked. Please cancel our credit cards immediately. My purse was stolen from the hotel lobby last night. She explains she went to get a newspaper, left her purse at the cashier counter while grabbing more reading material, came back and it was gone. The cashier was busy with another customer and didn't see anything. Her driver's license was in there too, plus about $1,200 cash. Her boss was overnighting new company cards and transferring money to help her through this. I handled the credit cards immediately and thought nothing more of it. Life continued normally for about 6 weeks. Then, while searching for our home insurance policy, I stumbled upon Claire's personal Fidelity account statements. After her parents died in an accident a few years back, she inherited around $350K, which had grown to over $400K. I'd always respected her privacy with this account, but something caught my eye. There was a $3,000 withdrawal from her money market account dated exactly 6 weeks ago, right when her purse was stolen. Curious, I dug deeper into the statements. She'd written a substantial check to a local jewelry store in the same city where the theft occurred, just a couple days after losing her purse. This seemed weird, so I decided to call the jewelry store pretending we had an issue with the purchase and asking about their warranty policy. The woman searched their system and said, "Oh, I remember this transaction. When your wife visited our store, she was visibly distressed. She mentioned that her wedding and engagement rings had been stolen and she wanted to replace them. It was quite challenging to find suitable options to meet her needs. She used a company credit card as collateral and later sent us a check to cover the cost." My blood went cold. Claire never mentioned losing her rings to me, only her purse. Why would her wedding rings be in her purse unless she was deliberately taking them off? The only reason I could think of for removing wedding rings while traveling was to appear unmarried to other men. I needed more information, so I called the hotel where the alleged theft occurred. They confirmed having a written record of the incident and faxed me a copy. But Claire's own report told a different story than what she told me. In the police report she wrote, she claimed her purse was stolen while she was dancing in the hotel bar. She'd left her purse at her booth, went dancing, and when she returned, it was missing. Most tellingly, she specifically noted that she was hesitant to involve police, dancing, with her wedding rings off, with strange men. My perfect 11-year marriage was suddenly looking very different. Claire travels once a month, stays 3 nights in distant cities. If she was looking to have affairs, these trips would be the perfect cover. I knew I needed concrete evidence before confronting her, especially if I wanted custody of the kids. Claire had another trip coming up in a few days to Denton. She mentioned she'd be leaving early in the morning and would bring her briefcase home the night before instead of stopping at the office. That evening, she came home excited and parked in the garage as usual. After dinner, I offered to get her suitcase from the car. I casually mentioned my tire seemed to be losing air and asked for her car keys so I could take it to Jerry's station for a quick fix. She handed them over without suspicion. I drove to Jerry's gas station. He's an old school friend who owns the place. "Trouble at home, buddy?" he asked, sensing something was wrong. "Maybe," I admitted, opening the trunk and retrieving Claire's briefcase. Jerry nodded toward his shop. "Take your time, friend." My hands trembled as I searched through the briefcase pockets. Then I found what I was dreading, an open package of contraceptives with about 3 pieces missing. My worst fears were confirmed. She was having affairs and came prepared for them. I carefully returned everything exactly where I found it, closed the briefcase, and drove home with a heavy heart. Jerry checked my tire pressure to keep up the pretense while I processed this devastating discovery. The next morning, after getting the kids to school, I started making calls. First, I found a private detective agency with a nationwide coverage that had a branch in Denton where Claire was heading. I provided them with her photo and travel details, paying substantial upfront fees. They promised surveillance photos and a comprehensive report by Monday morning. Then, I met with a divorce attorney that afternoon. He explained our state's no-fault divorce laws, but said since I'm the primary caregiver, I'd likely get custody. Property would be split 50-50. Claire would pay child support, and her inheritance would remain hers. I instructed him to prepare papers citing irreconcilable differences to be served Monday at her workplace. That Friday, when Claire returned from her current trip, I offered to do her laundry, but she quickly declined, insisting she'd handle it herself. Obviously, she needed to manage any evidence. That night in bed, she worried about my stomach issues because my stress was clearly showing. "I missed you so much on this trip," she whispered, holding me close. We made love, but it felt hollow knowing what I now suspected. I desperately asked, "Do you really need to go on this trip?" hoping against hope she'd choose our family over whatever she was doing out there. "I'm sorry, honey, but this trip is necessary. I'll wrap things up quickly and come home. Really looking forward to the weekend with all of you," she replied, with what seemed like genuine emotion. After she went to shower, I quickly inspected her suitcase. Beneath the business clothes on top, I found her most seductive lingerie and the small black cocktail dress that she always looked irresistible in. I carefully returned everything to its place. I couldn't sleep that night. When Claire got up at 5 a.m. to prepare for her flight, I stayed in bed, unable to go through our usual goodbye routine. She leaned down and kissed my cheek, asking, "Still not feeling well, honey?" I just nodded, my heart breaking as I heard the garage door close behind her. Monday morning, the detective agency called. The report was ready, and the manager warned me it was highly incriminating. I drove there immediately and sat down to read the most devastating document of my life. The surveillance of Claire began at 5:17 p.m. Wednesday at the Denton Marriott Hotel lobby. At 5:23 p.m., she entered room 414 alone, wearing business attire, carrying her briefcase, and clearly wearing her wedding rings in the photo marked Exhibit 1A. But at 6:32 p.m., she exited the elevator dressed in that black cocktail dress and heels with no wedding rings visible on her left hand in Exhibit 1B. The report detailed how she went to the hotel bar where agents had positioned themselves. Exhibit 1D showed Claire engaged in a passionate embrace and deep kiss with an unidentified man in a restaurant booth. At 8:51 p.m., both individuals took the elevator up to her floor. Exhibit 1. E captured the moment when Claire and this man entered her room, specifically room 414. Claire appeared slightly intoxicated, but undeniably pleased with the evening's events. At 11:13 p.m., the man exited Claire's room and left the building. The agents had gotten his license plate number. The car was registered to Alexander B. Tate, residing at 1424 Azalea Drive in Denton. Further investigation revealed Alexander was married with 2 young children. But it gets worse. The report noted that Claire repeated these exact same actions the following night with a completely different man. My wife wasn't just having an affair. She was living a completely promiscuous lifestyle whenever she traveled for business. I was physically sick reading this. After paying the detective agency, I immediately called my divorce attorney to file the papers. I specifically requested they be served publicly at Claire's workplace because I wanted her to feel the humiliation she'd put our marriage through. That Tuesday morning at 10:45 a.m., my phone rang showing Claire's workplace on the caller ID. I answered without speaking. After a long pause, Claire whispered in a trembling voice, "I'm sorry," before the line went dead. She didn't come home that night. The kids kept asking where Mommy was, so I took them to McDonald's for dinner to cheer them up. The next morning, Claire called asking, "Honey, can I come home and pack my things?" "Can we talk?" I replied calmly. "Come between 9 and noon when the kids and I won't be here. As for talking, we'll only speak one-on-one in my lawyer's office after you sign and return the notarized divorce documents." She sobbed before agreeing. Claire signed the divorce papers, and 6 months later, our marriage was officially over. But here's the kicker. During our final meeting at the lawyer's office, it came out that she'd gotten pregnant during one of her affairs. Her contraception had failed with one of her hookups. Even if I hadn't discovered the ring deception, the pregnancy timeline would have eventually exposed everything anyway. She pleaded with me to reconsider the divorce, claiming she'd been diagnosed with nymphomania and had her urges under control now. I told her it was too late. If she'd sought help before destroying our family instead of just hiding her problems, we might not be sitting there She left the office in tears while I walked away with full custody of our children. Since then, I've heard through mutual friends that Claire still frequents local nightclubs with different men, behaving just as provocatively as before. Another friend called, saying she'd contracted herpes and was asking for help, but I told them she made her choices and has to live with the consequences. I've started dating again and met an amazing woman who's also divorced after discovering her ex-husband's infidelity. She has the strength and resilience I genuinely admire, and the kids really like her too. I think this relationship has real potential for something special. Looking back, I realize sometimes the smallest inconsistencies can reveal the biggest betrayals. Claire's story about losing her rings never quite made sense, but I almost dismissed it as unimportant. That one minor detail ended up unraveling her entire double life. Trust your instincts when something doesn't add up. The hardest part is knowing my children have such an irresponsible mother, but they have a father who will always protect them. We're building a new, honest life together, and that's what matters most. If Claire ever gets close to remarrying someone, I've honestly thought about warning her future spouse because no one deserves to be deceived and hurt the way I was. For people asking if I feel guilty about having the papers served publicly at her work, honestly, no. She humiliated our marriage in the worst possible way with multiple men. A little public embarrassment was the least she deserved. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.